Alright you guys, today's a bit of a different video. It's not going to be a gym video, it's not going to be a full day of eating, anything like that. Today I want to talk about bodybuilding, and not only the good parts of bodybuilding, but without sounding too corny, I guess the dark side of bodybuilding and my experience with natural bodybuilding specifically, because I am a natural athlete. So for those of you who don't already know, back in November I competed in my first ever natural bodybuilding show. The whole experience was like incredible. Honestly, maybe one of the greatest experiences of my life. Yeah, I probably would say possibly the greatest experience of my life. So I took first place in my height class, which was awesome. Could not have been more happy with that. That gave me the opportunity to compete in the finals, in the overall finals, for a shot at the pro card, the OCB Natural Pro card, which I didn't win. I am coming for that pro card still. So even with all the things I'm going to say in this video, I'm not done bodybuilding, guys. I'm coming for that pro card. In a year or two's time, I'll have a natural pro card. I will. I'll be an OCB Natural Pro. It's just going to take some time. I want to tell the whole story of the backstory of kind of where I'm at right now and why I'm dealing with some of the things I'm going to talk about in this video. So my show was in November, early November. I started prep in, I think it was June. It was basically a 20-week prep. And when I say 20-week prep, I don't really mean a 20-week prep, because the first 10 weeks of my prep weren't necessarily a prep. It was more just a cut. I just kind of wanted to get lean, shredded for the summer. I wanted to look sick. And I wasn't actually planning on entering a show yet. But as time went on and I started to look leaner and leaner, feel, like I looked better and better, and I saw some of my hometown buddies hopping in shows as well, natural shows, and just being really inspired by them. Like my boys, if you guys are watching this, Tommy Monroe, Ben Mackey, you guys really inspired me to actually decide to compete. So about 10 weeks into that cut, halfway through, I was like, you know what, let me start looking around for a show. Let me just see. I kind of was talking about it to a few people. I'm like, yeah, I might compete. I kind of want to, but I wasn't really sure yet. It was kind of one of those things where I felt like I was just going to keep talking about it and not actually do it. But anyways, I go to OCB online, I check the show schedule, and I see a show here in Tampa, Florida that was about 10 weeks out from where the time frame I was at the time, because I was looking around in maybe September. I think it was early September-ish, and I saw one for early November. So in my head I was like, wow, this lines up perfectly. Usually people need to pick a show like 5-6 months out in order to actually time the prep properly, but I just happened to be doing a cut, and I looked about 10 weeks out at the time, and I saw this show in Tampa 10 weeks out. So not only did the schedule line up perfectly, but the venue, once I plugged it into Google Maps, instead of coming up as a drive, it came up as a walk, literally a 5-minute walk from where I am right now in my apartment. So I was like, okay, this is a sign. Like most people, for you guys that don't know, when you want to compete in a natural show, you need to plan it out way ahead of time. A lot of people have to drive hours, maybe even fly to get to their show location. But this lined up perfectly and was literally a block away from my apartment. So I was like, okay, this is it. I'm signing up for the show. So I go ahead and sign up, and I'm like, all right, these next 10 weeks, I need to get serious. It's not just a cut anymore. Because, the first 10 weeks of the cut, I'll be real with you guys, I'm not going to act like something I'm not. I was eating well above 3,500 calories, 4,000 calories in the beginning of my cut, just because my maintenance was so high from being 215 pounds peak bulk that I could afford to eat that many calories and still lose weight. So since I had to eat that many calories in order to not just like drop 20 pounds in 2 weeks, I was not eating clean. Like I was eating mostly clean, but if I'm like, it's the middle of the summer, if there was something going on, like I'll go get canes with my boys, like I'll eat fast food, I'll have some ice cream here and there. Like I wasn't really on prep, but the next 10 weeks I was on prep. So that's when shit got real. That's when it was like time to, no more Raising Cane's, no more Zaxby's, no more Chick-fil-A. Chicken, broccoli, rice, lean ground beef, eggs, egg whites, vegetables, potato, oats, just the bare bones. So tapered down from, started out at 4,000 in the beginning of my cut, and then eventually was down to 1,700 calories way at the end of the prep. Huge jump. And the main reason for that jump is because around 4 to 5 weeks out, I was looking at my check-in videos and I was kind of assessing my conditioning because I had been self-coached. I fully coached myself all the way up to this point, 5 weeks out. So I would hit up my boys here and there who I knew had competed and send a check-in video and be like, hey, how am I looking for 8 weeks out? Looking good. Don't drop calories yet, or drop your calories or whatever. I get a little bit of insight here and there, but mostly self-coached. But at that 4 week out period, I was like, my conditioning looks a little behind. So I had been going back and forth on Instagram a bit with my boy Michael Donato, who I didn't really know at the time. He was just someone I followed on Instagram, and I knew that he had competed, and he's an extremely successful natural bodybuilder. I've never seen someone get that lean naturally. It's insane and still hold the size. So I was asking him a couple questions about competing, and he was offering to coach me for the rest of my prep, the last 4 to 5 weeks. But at the time, I was very set on being self-coached just so I can prove it to myself and prove it to others. Because so many people told me, they're like, yeah, you need a coach. You can't do this without a coach. I was like, you know what? Maybe I can. So I ended up not wanting to be fully coached by someone else. Not as much a budget thing, more so just wanting to coach myself. And Michael fully understood that. But regardless, he still offered to help me out for the rest of the prep a bit. So at the end of the day, I was still really calling all the shots with when to drop my calories, when to bump up cardio for the most part. But he gave me a lot of guidance. He helped me out. He kind of rearranged my macros a bit, gave me pushed me forward a little bit with all right, it probably is time to drop calories, even though in my head I was like, I don't really know if I need to. But at the end of the day, I kind of just had him there as guidance through those last 4 weeks or so. But I would still, I don't want to give myself too much credit, but I still do want to credit myself as really making most of the decisions myself, at least for the majority of prep. So yeah, the last 5 weeks I had to kind of really dial in the conditioning. I was losing well over 2 pounds a week, which was more than 1% of my body weight. And when you're that lean, you're that deep into prep, you do not want to be losing that much weight per week. But I had to be conditioned in order to do well at my show, because I knew I didn't really have the size a lot of these guys had, so I knew I had to beat them with conditioning. So push the cardio, push the step count, pulled the calories down pretty low for what I was used to, and we were conditioned in time. About 1 week out, I was looking 99% of the way there. So early on in peak week, pushed the conditioning a little bit more, dropped a couple pounds, and then the peak week protocol, I kind of structured the whole thing, or the majority of it myself, ran it by Michael. We went over it, made some tweaks. So peak week, Michael really came into play a ton here. So this is where, at this point, especially towards the latter half of peak week, Thursday on, I was not fully self-coached. At that point, Michael was really coaching me through. And honestly, he peaked me phenomenally. It was incredible. My look from the start of peak week compared to show day, night and day. It was absurd. So I give a ton of credit to Michael and really appreciate what he did for both my posing during peak week, the tweaks he made to my protocol, and pretty much just once we got to Thursday night, Thursday midday, once I started carbing up, it was no longer a day by day thing, but an hour by hour thing. So he was super locked in with me, staying on top of it, hour by hour, seeing how I'm looking, seeing what we need to do. You know what, let's let's, add more carbs, water, salt, whatever. I still would voice my own opinion if I thought like, you know what, maybe I shouldn't cut water yet. Maybe it's a little too early to cut water. So it was kind of, there were some mutual decisions there, but for the most part, I give him most of the credit for peaking me. And yeah, peaked really well despite having to rush those last 5 weeks. Did really well at the show. Like I said, won my height class. Honestly, just like looked a lot better than I thought I was going to look, and just the outcome was incredible. But if you guys aren't if you haven't seen the show day video, go scroll down on my channel a bit and you can see, the whole actual show day, because I'm not going to go too much into that, because that's not what this video is about. This video is about after the show. So, show day, great experience, everything went well. Night after the show, as expected, I ate a ton of calories, I binge. Not like I wasn't like telling myself like, oh, I can't binge, and then I ended up binging. I knew this was gonna happen, and I let myself do it. Sunday, the day after the show, didn't really, I did binge. Yeah, I'm not gonna front. I binged pretty bad. During the day, I was fine. I was just eating, like, enjoying the freedom of being able to just go to the store and be like, oh, that looks good. I don't have to worry about, is it on meal plan? Do I have to eat the same 10 foods every single day for, months, which kind of is another thing that's driving what I'm about to talk about. But being able to go to the store and enjoy the freedom of just like, oh, that looks good, let me buy it. So like Sunday during the day, I was kind of just eating a lot of new foods that I wasn't able to eat during prep. Sunday night, I got into the kitchen, I got into the sweets, probably had a bad night Sunday night. But it's still the day after the show, completely normal. Everyone goes through this. But come Monday, I decided to lock back in, start tracking again, start doing my cardio again, start lifting again. So I was back on 2,600 calories, 30 minutes of cardio, and lifting about 5 days a week. So yeah, I felt great. It felt great to be back on track after only like a day and a half of screwing up. So I did that for a couple weeks, slowly, eventually increased my calories to like 2,800. So essentially was reversing back up, and then I might have got to 3,000 for a little bit, and then I took a vacation for Thanksgiving break. I went to Ireland with my family. I stopped tracking calories for that week completely. I stopped lifting. I decided to just enjoy life, try to be a normal person. Came back here to Tampa to finish out the semester. Still wasn't tracking, I don't think. I'm pretty sure I still was just kind of eating intuitively. My stage weight was 170. And then day after the show, once I got my water back and everything, I was 175, which was like realistically my normal body weight, 175, at that weight without being depleted and dry and all that stuff. So I held 175 for a while, got up to maybe 176. By the time I went home to New Jersey for winter break, I was close to, 177 or 178, just like slowly gaining a little bit of weight here and there just by kind of eating intuitively, not tracking. So things were going really well, I was like not gaining weight too fast. I thought I was getting healthier, putting on a little bit of weight, just like the healthy amount of weight that I need, trying to get stronger in the gym. But as the weeks went by, as the months went by, I eventually was back down to like 175 pounds due to kind of restricting myself with my food intake. Not because I felt like, I'm eating too much, like I'm doing the wrong thing. But I honestly couldn't even explain it to anyone. For some reason, I couldn't get myself to eat enough food, and it wasn't an appetite thing. I had a ravenous appetite, and I still do today. But I would catch myself trying to eat as little as possible during the day, just enough to get by, so I could save up calories at night to just like eat whatever I wanted and just like eat a ton of food at night, because that was when my hunger would really hit. And I was doing a lot of cardio, doing a lot of running. Essentially, I just got into this state of like, I look pretty good right now. I look pretty lean. My social media has been like popping off just from being this low body fat. And I feel like this is what I should be doing. This is when I look best. So why would I not try to kind of stay here. So I ended up kind of just mentally restricting my food intake to the point of getting back down to 175 pounds. Eventually, there was a point I think I got down to 172. I was just, I would tell people, yeah, I'm lean bulking, but I was not. I was just like maintaining, and I just couldn't get myself to commit to a bulk. So eventually I decided, I'm like, okay, you know what? Screw the shreds. Like I'm okay to get rid of the shreds. Social media, it's whatever. I have enough clips of me being lean. It's time to bulk. I need to grow muscle so I can actually compete again, but be bigger and actually have a shot at my pro card. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna bulk, but I'm not gonna track my calories. I'm just gonna slowly eat a little bit extra food, try to gain, half pound a week. And I tried that, but I just still caught myself restricting my food intake, and I didn't know why. Because I knew, I'm supposed to be eating, but every time I eat, I kind of feel like, no, I'm doing the wrong thing. Like, I would feel guilty about it. Just like, especially if I ate a lot early in the day, I would feel like, I screwed up because now I'm not gonna have enough food to eat later. So I would catch myself with these weird patterns of eating. And keep in mind, like, once again, I'm constantly starving. I have not been full since the show, or not even the show, since like earlier on in prep. Still to this day, haven't been full. Like if someone put food in front of me at any point within the past 6 months, 7 months, I'll eat it. There's no if I knew I wasn't supposed to eat it, I wouldn't eat it. But there was no I'm too full, I can't eat it. But despite that, I would always just feel this sense of a little bit of guilt when I would eat food, So I would do this thing of saving my calories till the nighttime. So I'd be under eating during the day and I'd feel good. I'm like, I didn't eat a lot today. I didn't eat. I'm good. This is a good thing. This means I can eat a lot at night. So I developed this sort of positive reinforcement towards under eating during the day. And then what would happen is it would get to night and I'd have all these calories saved up. And I would just eat a ton of food to try to hit a slight surplus. And then I'd feel horrible about it because I'm like, wow, I feel like a fat ass. I just ate 2,000 calories. Whereas in reality, a lot of those days I was still in a deficit or maintenance. It was just the fact that I saved up all those calories to one point where I would feel like, okay, this is not normal. Normal people don't eat 2,000 calories in one meal. So it got to the point where I could no longer relate to other people in terms of food. I just started constantly all day, every day, I would just be thinking about food because I'm just hungry. I just want food. Whereas other people and me in the past, you only really think about food, a few times per day when you're hungry, when you're just talking about it with someone else. But I noticed I'm just anytime food came up in conversation, it was now I really want to chime in. Now I want to talk. Let's talk about food. Or if I'm driving, this is a crazy one. Every time I'm driving, I go down a main road, I cannot, I've tried to stop doing this, but every time there's fast food or restaurants, my eyes just go right to it. It's almost like an uncontrollable impulse. So this is just kind of where I've been the past few months with food, just in this really bad space of just not having normal eating habits. I could no longer relate to other people with food. I'd be at dinner with either my family or my friends or something, and we'd all eat a big meal, and everyone would be like, oh man, I'm full, I'm full. And I would lie just so I could fit in. I would be like, yeah, no, I'm full, I'm stuffed. But in my head, I knew I could have ate that meal 4 times over again. I'm not even joking. And another thing is I would see people, if I'm eating it with other people, I'd see people take a few bites of their food and then maybe talk for a bit and take a few bites, and I was like, wow, they have a lot of discipline, they have a lot of willpower, that they can just take a few bites and then slow down. Let me try doing that. And I tried it, but and I could do it, but it was it was a discipline and a willpower thing. But for other people, it's not. It's just, this is just normal social norms. You take a few bites of food, you talk, that's a normal thing. It's not like they're forcefully trying to like slow down their eating, but for me it was a conscious thing I had to do. I need to slow down and make this meal last longer. So I was just so food focused and constantly hungry. Like everything, this is another thing, everything tastes amazing. Every food I used to not like. Cheese I used to hate. I could not eat cheese for the life of me before prep. After the show, I had no issue with cheese. I used to not be able to, mushrooms, no, I couldn't do that. But now, I'll eat them up. Like there's very rarely a food that I don't like. Even if I used to not like it, like I'll eat it now. Plain Greek yogurt, that used to disgust me. Now I could go through a whole tub of it. It's just like getting that lean, and dieting for that long, and being this lean for so long, because the show was over 4 months ago at this point. Like it's been way too long. It's just, it rewires your brain. You get so food focused, and when you get food focused for such a long period of time, your habits change too. So now I'm running into these habits of like negatively reinforcing myself mentally when I eat a lot during the day, positively reinforcing myself for not eating a lot. So I just like developed this guilt association with eating. The only time I was a little bit successful was when I decided like a month or two ago, I'm like, all right, let me just start tracking and reversing back up. And I started around 2,800, bumped it up like a couple hundred every few weeks. Eventually it was up to like 3,400. And you know, doing well was gaining like a half pound or so a week. But I just couldn't stand tracking anymore. I hated the fact that like if I wanted to just like grab a couple pretzels, I would have to like pull out my phone to, you know, weigh them out, do all this, do all that. So I was like, screw it, I'm not tracking. I'm just gonna, you know, I know what 3,400 calories is. I can just eat 3,400 without tracking. So I did that, but what happened was I just ended up chronically under eating every day, because when you're not tracking, you kind of lose that sense of security of like, oh, okay, I ate the right amount. So for me, I had a bigger fear of overeating than I did of undereating. I was more worried about putting on fat than I was about, you know, like staying like small and not gaining the muscle. So I would always end up kind of undereating because that's what I felt more secure. I felt more secure under 3,400 than I felt over 3,400. So if it were between the two and I wasn't really sure, I would just always shoot for under subconsciously. Whereas I knew what I should be trying to do is eat over. Yeah, there's the whole idea about, you know, lean bulking, like you can main gain, you should really only be in a 50 to 100 calorie surplus, but that applies to people who have adequate body fat. A lot of people don't understand that. That whole, you know, you can build muscle at maintenance, you can build muscle in deficit, that is 100% true if you already have the energy on your body to do that, i.e. body fat. When you're post-show, you don't have significant body fat to even function on a daily, like day-to-day life. You don't even have enough body fat around your organs. You can't properly support your hormones. So when you're low body fat after show, there's no, you know, gaining muscle in deficit, gaining muscle in maintenance. You need to put on body fat, a little bit of body fat, and get yourself to a healthy, normal human range before you can actually start, you know, doing a lean bulk and slowly gaining muscle. So really what you should be doing post-show is kind of just letting yourself eat, not go too crazy to the point where you're unhealthy, but, you know, put on a few pounds, put that body fat back on so you can just be a healthy, normal, functioning human being again, which I didn't understand at the time. And I think it's because I didn't have, you know, I didn't really pay for a coach or get myself a coach during prep. I had Michael working with me, but, you know, I didn't actually like want a full-on coach, so I just wanted to get guidance from him. So I was really in the dark with a lot of this stuff, and then after the show, like me and Michael, we're still like boys to this day. We still are in touch all the time, but like I didn't feel the need for a coach post-show, because it's like, you know, well, it's after the show, why would I need a coach? You know, I don't have regrets, but I think if I had, you know, been like, hey Michael, like, you know, can you coach me to help me with the reverse after the show, which is what a lot of people do. They have their coach for the show, then they continue the coaching after the show to kind of get back to a healthy state. and get into a massing phase. But I didn't want to do that. I was just like, you know what, I can do this on my own. But I think if I had gotten, been like, yo, Michael, like, can you help me out post-show, trying to get back to normal, I think I would have done a lot of things differently and done a lot of things better, and probably would have been heavier, stronger, have way more muscle mass by now and feel a lot better, and I wouldn't have dealt with this, like, basically eating disorder for the past 4 months. Like, I'm just going to call it what it is at this point. I'm going to stop dancing. I mean, I don't know about eating disorder, but at the very least, disordered eating. Because another thing is I stopped enjoying the gym. Like, after the show, I just, like, the gym became such a chore, and it's like I would just want to get it out of the way and get on with my day. Whereas before that, it was like I was excited for the gym. Like, I was amped up to go to the gym almost every single day. I was just trying to figure out why. I'm like, why do I not want to go to the gym? Why do I feel, tired all the time? Like, why am I constantly starving? It's like my boys want to go play basketball or something. I'm like, it's just hard for me to even go do that. Like, I want to go play basketball or, do whatever, have fun, do things physical. But it was just so draining, and I could only make it through like 30 minutes to an hour before I'm like, I just need to get home, lay down, eat some food. Like, my body just could not keep up with enough, sufficient physical activity, just because I wasn't giving enough calories. And then that's when I started to take note of some other things. I had the low energy, the cravings, lack of desire to go to the gym. And then I started to notice, I'm like, I haven't thought about, like, dating or girls, like, at all within the past, like, 2 or 3 months. And it hit me out of nowhere because, it wasn't something that was crossing my mind at all. So why would I have noticed that it was something I wasn't thinking about if I wasn't thinking about it? If that makes sense. But I remember one day I was just, like, talking to my boys, just, like, shooting the shit about, like, chicks or whatever. And I started to realize, I'm like, I can't even, like it doesn't even really relate to me anymore. Like, I have no, like, I don't feel the need to date. Like, I just, like, don't, this is, like, not something I was thinking about. And this is, like, I don't know, I mean, I don't know, it feels weird, like, talking about this on camera, but it's just the truth. I don't want to give you guys, like, the truth on, like, my experience with everything. If anyone else is competing, like, try to avoid what happened to me, basically try to do things better. But yeah, like, it was just not a thing that had crossed my mind, whereas previously, I was a normal dude. Like, I've had girlfriends in the past. It's, like, something I enjoy. Like, I don't know, I think I'm wording it weird, but it's like, I was just a normal dude who, like, has an interest in, like, dating and girls. And then, like, after the show, it just kind of, like, stopped being a thing. Like, I just didn't care for it. It's not like I was just, like, castrated, but I just, like, didn't really, it was just kind of like, whatever. Like, I'd rather just, like, I don't know, like, if it was between, like, oh, let me go, like, hang out with some girl tonight, or let me stay home and, like, eat food, it was eat food, like, every time. That was just, like, my priorities were just all out of whack. And eventually got to the point where I'm like, the way I am today is not the same as the way I was before I prepped for the show. Like, something is different, something is off. And I was like, it's probably my testosterone. So I was like, okay, let me get this looked at, because, like, this is something seriously wrong. And I know it's just because I've maintained my body weight and haven't, like, went up in weight. But let me just see, like, did I really screw my hormones up this bad? Basically, it was like, all right, let me go get blood work done, because, like, low energy, constant, like, lethargy, constant food cravings, can't sleep at night. My sleep was atrocious. Like, no sex drive, no energy to, like, go to the gym, didn't want to, like, do physical activities, like, less kind of drive in general. So I was like, this just all points to low testosterone. Let me just get it checked. So I go get the blood work done, and In the past, my testosterone has been between like 500 and 550, which is right smack in the middle of the reference range. The reference range is like 300 to 900-ish, so, you know, I'm pretty much right smack in the middle. So I get the blood work done, and then a week later I get a call from my doctor. And they tell me, like, yeah, we got your testosterone results back. Did you get the chance to look at them yet? I'm like, no, I haven't seen them yet. And she says, okay, yeah, because they came back very low. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, you know, that makes sense. You know, people's testosterone gets a little lower after the show. You know, usually I'm 500, 550, so maybe I'm in like the 3s now. And she goes, yeah, we have the results right here. Your testosterone came back at 73 nanograms per deciliter. 73. And I kind of just like zoned out. And then, like, I think she told me my free test was like, I think it was 4. Reference range for free test, I don't remember what it is. Free testosterone reference range, 9.3 to 26.5. Mine was 3.8. Testosterone total reference range, 264 to 916. Mine was 73. So she basically said, yeah, we're going to refer you to a urologist to look into TRT. In my head, I'm like, okay, this is insane. Like, is this real? 73? Sub 100 nanograms per deciliter testosterone levels. This has to be some joke. The show was 4 months ago. I should be healthy by now, right? But yeah, no, I'm not going to get on TRT. I'm going to stay natural. I'm going to see a urologist and try to, you know, get this looked at, because I think my intuition tells me if I just get back to a healthy body fat percentage, you know, have a little bit more fats in my diet, because my diet's super low fat. If I just try to, you know, eat some more food and get healthy, then if I recheck my levels in a couple months, hopefully they'll be going back up. And hopefully I can get back to the 500, 550 range just from eating enough food to get back to, you know, at least, you know, 12% body fat. And it was almost a relief to me to hear how low my levels were, because it explained so much. When I look back at pictures of when I was 175 a few days after the show versus 175 now, it's like it looks like I've lost muscle and gained fat a little bit. And I don't know if that's body dysmorphia, but like, I mean, my numbers haven't really went up in the gym. If anything, they've went down a little bit, despite really pushing hard and really pushing a progressive overload. And I just thought, like, I'm just not genetically meant for this. I'm just like doing it wrong. I should be able to at least, you know, maintain my physique, maintain my strength. But with 73 nanograms per deciliter testosterone, I don't think it's possible to gain strength and gain size at maintenance. I don't think that's realistic for anyone. So I kind of at least was able to stop beating myself up about that. And then thankfully that started to explain why I'm experiencing the other things. Like, why is my sleep horrible? Why do I have no sex drive? Why am I tired all the time? Why do I not enjoy the gym anymore? Because I started to wonder before I got the results back. I'm like, maybe I'm just getting, like, you know, older, and I'm just like, you know, like, this is just me now. But it's not. This is not me. I don't know what the math is, but almost like 10% of the testosterone I used to have. I used to have like 8 times more testosterone, and free testosterone as well. So I finally got closure on, like, okay, I'm not going to feel this way forever. If I can get my testosterone back to normal, I'm going to be able to feel how I used to feel, which is how I want to feel. Like, I don't, you know, I'm not miserable right now. I'm still kind of, like, I love my life. I enjoy my life. Things aren't horrible, but it's just, it was good to know that those symptoms weren't just something that had happened for no reason and my testosterone was normal, and it's like nothing's going to change. That tells me that once I get my testosterone back to normal by hopefully just eating more food, I won't have these symptoms anymore. So yeah, I'm probably gonna keep updating you guys on this situation, kind of, because you know it's definitely gonna be a work in progress trying to get myself healthy again. Because I know I need to eat more food and that should fix the testosterone, but I still am dealing with sort of this disordered eating of like, not being able to feel okay about eating a surplus. It's kind of like, it's a mental battle for me, really. I think I just need reassurance externally from other people once in a while that, I'm supposed to be eating more food to get healthy. Because sometimes it's just like, especially with social media and stuff, and like summer coming up, everyone else is dieting, trying to get shredded. And a lot of times in my, like, people comment, not that I really care about comments, but people, like, when I talk about, bulking or anything like that, people are like, oh, why don't you just maintain your physique? Why don't you just, like, you don't need to bulk, there's no reason, just maintain or just get more shredded. And I know those people are fucking retarded, but sometimes it just gets in my head a little bit. I try not to let it, because they don't, if anyone that knows my actual situation, like my parents, because I've talked to my parents about this, like my friends, I've talked to my friends as well, none of them are telling me like, oh, maybe you should just maintain and try to, like, keep your physique. They're all like, dude, you need a fucking cheeseburger. Like, fuck, man. If any of you guys are competing, I guess kind of what I learned from this is don't hesitate to get a coach, A, to actually do your prep properly and not have to rush your prep, and then B, to help you reverse out of the show. This is huge, because you do not want to end up in the situation I'm in. It's not horrible, but it's like, if I had a coach or had someone like Michael help me out through the, at least just a month after the show, I would have been 10 steps ahead of the game right now. I would have had so much more muscle. I probably wouldn't have even had that much more fat on me. And I would have felt normal, like a normal human being. So, yeah, I'm not saying don't do this, don't do a show self-coached, but I just want to, let you guys know some of the hard lessons I had to learn from doing this independently and not having anyone help me. And just from, this whole, like, my social media really started popping off right after the show, and it's hard not to fall into the trap of, I need to stay shredded for social media, because you don't. You have the clips of being shredded. People want to see the process. They want to see, maybe they don't want to see the process, but people need to see the process. Too many people on social media, especially in the comments, don't understand, like, I got how I looked on my show because I went through bulks. I didn't get there by just being there. Like, the only way to improve is, you don't have to go on a dirty bulk, but you need to, like, eat fucking food and put on some mass, bro. Like, a lot of people just don't understand that. They think they can just go from, like, 150 pounds, 8% body fat to, like, 190 pounds, 8% body fat without ever going above 8% body fat. Like, I don't know, on paper, is it possible? Maybe, but it's going to take you about 80 years. So yeah, I mean, with all that being said, I think I covered pretty much everything. I don't think there's much more to discuss. And hopefully, other people who went through a similar thing or going through a similar thing will see this and be able to relate to it and know, like, I guess I can't say, like, oh, it gets better, because I haven't gotten to the point of, like, I haven't really fixed the issue yet, but, like, no, you're not alone. Like, I've experienced this, and I've heard of other people that have experienced similar things. So it's not the end of the world. It's just, like, in the grand scheme of things, it's only a little bit of time. And I'll be back to normal soon, hopefully. But right now, guys, pretty much the name of the game for me, definitely going to keep lifting. Like, not going to, like, take this as, like, oh, I need to just, like, not lift and, like, get healthy by just, like, doing nothing and being a fat ass. But, like, I'm going to try to get healthy in the sense of mentally getting healthy, like, trying to develop slightly more normal habits with my food, develop a better relationship, stop looking at food where it's like every time I go to anywhere to eat, I'm looking for the lowest fat option, trying to get the most volume, per calorie, instead of just trying to get what I actually think is going to taste good. I'm just gonna try to, be a little bit more normal with that, eat enough food to get my actual body, not only my brain healthy, but my body healthy. I think that's gonna need to take care of before I can start making crazy gains. But either way, I'm gonna keep working out hard, eating in a surplus, and just trying to get healthy. So yeah, thank you guys for listening to this. If you made it through the whole thing, you're a real one, because I feel like I've been sitting here talking for 2 hours. But yeah, it's time for me to eat a meal. So I'm hungry, and that means I should eat. It doesn't mean I should wait another 2 hours and delay my meal so that I can eat more at night. It means I should eat now if I'm hungry. So, catch you guys in the next one.